Hey everybody, so I'm Gadget Guy here with a quick mini comparison between the G3 and the HTC M8. You guys know I'm not a huge fan of doing device versus device, showdown, fight for blood, kinds of videos because it all too often comes to like a specs comparison that you could just read off the side of the box. This has the 1080p's on the screen and this has the 1440p's on the screen. What I do want to talk about is just where I see LG's design influence is getting a little bit more in the gray area of where HTC is taking their devices as well. So flipping these phones over, you can see, I mean, they're going for similar color palettes, the brushed aluminum on the HTC One versus the brushed metallic plastic on the G3. And these two phones stand apart as being some of the shiniest phones that I've ever used that don't get gross and smudgy when you wipe your hands over them. So whatever treatment LG is using on the G3, and of course, you know, the metal finish on the HTC One, definitely keep these devices looking a lot prettier, a lot nicer. Even the layouts on the camera are somewhat similar, even down to the dual LED flashes. You got a white LED and a more yellow-orange LED just to help with white balance. While I think the camera on the HTC One is good, maybe okay to good, I'm really upset with the lack of optical image stabilization, and it is sort of a lower resolution sensor for this day and age. So it shouldn't come as any surprise to you tech heads out there that the G3 camera just completely outperforms what HTC has bolted onto the back of the M8. But the G3 takes it to a completely different level with laser focus, which works really well, image stabilization, which helps keep the shutter open longer for low light photography and helps smooth out your hand movements when you're shooting video. Where that flips is, of course, the multimedia experience when it comes to audio, where the boom sound front-facing speakers are just phenomenal. Nothing has come close to the audio experience on HTC. And even when it comes to plugging headphones into your phone, the M8 stands alone. I mean, I did a comparison video on all of the various phones that I've gotten to try so far. The G3 wasn't a part of that comparison, but the G3 performs very similarly to some of the other LGs that we've used, and the HTC was our Showdown winner. For if you like to listen to music on headphones, this is maybe one of the best phones that you can use. Between these two phones, where we're talking about fit and finish, things like the micro USB ports and the headphone jacks, I think HTC actually has done a better job of engineering their hardware here. Just the attention to detail, how the metal wraps around things like the headphone jack and the micro USB port, definitely stand apart from LG's experience, where this plasticky edge on the micro USB port on the G3 can sometimes get in the way of the micro USB cable. I'm still trying to figure out the delicate little dance that I have to do to plug in this phone every night. And that makes me a little squirrely that, you know, I still think LG has some work to do in refining the fit and finish on their phones, especially for a flagship device. I don't like that scratchy feeling as I try and plug in a USB cable. But that being said, if that's the compromise I need to make to have a removable backplate so that I can just pop this cover off and I don't have to worry about using some kind of SIM card unlock tool to get to my micro SD card slot and to my battery if I want to swap the battery, that is one of the problems with engineering a phone like the M8, is that you have to give up your ability to swap your battery on your own. So especially if you're like me and you like to, after a year, you know, your battery does start to degrade a little over the course of your 2-year contract, but you can pop this battery out, put in a new one in a year, and it's gonna feel like you've got brand new phone battery life all over again. LG has done a much better job of implementing tap to wake and tap to turn off. So you can just double tap the screen and it'll shut the phone down. You can double tap the screen, it's gonna wake it right back up. HTC does also do this, but they made it orientation dependent. To me, it's kind of a big bummer because especially when I'm holding my phone out and it's a phone this big and I've got it kind of balanced on my fingertips, I might want to hold it flat for the best balance. If I have to hold it upright on the pads of my finger to activate this tap to wake feature, it puts my phone in a precarious position. It makes it trickier to hold and it makes it a little bit more dangerous. Like I might actually drop my super expensive, awesome, pretty flagship phone. So it's a bummer when HTC sort of mandates that you've got to hold it upright to do that. So I really hope HTC fixes that because I hold my phone out a lot, and on a metallic backed phone, and I have kind of sweaty hands, there will be a time where this phone just wet bar of soap slides right through my fingers. And lastly, what's kind of funny, and I'm gonna get some hate mail for this, while the M8 has gotten louder than the M7, this speaker on the back of the G3 can sometimes outperform the M8's stereo speakers. Now, this doesn't mean that it's a higher quality audio experience, it definitely doesn't sound as good as the speakers on the HTC. But when we're talking about ringtones and alerts, these two actually go toe-to-toe pretty well. I still think the M8 is the better multimedia phone. It's got a slightly brighter screen, which means it's easier to see out in sunlight. In my hands, the 5-inch screen is a little bit easier to hold, but you can see the bezels are just a touch, just the tiniest little bit thicker on the HTC. So I didn't think that that was as big a runaway success for HTC here. And when held side by side, I really can't see a substantial advantage for using the Quad HD screen on the G3. It is nicer. That is better. It is an improvement, but it's a very minor one. It's a very modest improvement over how good a 1080p screen can look on a 5-inch diagonal. While I really do like the fit finish, and I think the HTC is a more attractive device, when we start flipping over into things like camera performance, the LG just walks away with too many victories. I mean, there are so many times where I pick up the HTC and I try and shoot video or a photo with the M8, and it's just okay. I mean, it's a good camera. It's just good. Whereas the G3 is a substantially better all-around camera experience, and I think you end up with much better results thanks to the image stabilization and the laser focus. Folks, I'm never going to say that there's ever a clear winner when we start comparing flagship devices like this. You really do have to weigh up the pros and cons for yourself, see what it is that you want out of a phone, and then make your decision based off of that. So leave me a comment down below. Who do you think walks away as the victor here? Are you gravitating more towards the build quality, fit, finish, and audio experience on HTC? Do you need that better camera? Are you a camera snob like I am? And you're really starting to walk towards the G3? I'm always curious to know what you guys think, especially when I'm producing these types of videos, because I can't ever say there's a clear winner, so I really want to hear what you guys have to think about this. As always, folks, thanks so much for watching my videos, sharing my videos, subscribing to my channel, leaving me all of those amazing comments down below my videos. I love getting into the conversations that we get into. Hit that thumbs up button, and I will catch you all on the next review.